All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, folks. Not only have they won 3 straight football games, they have about a 70% chance to just in general make the playoffs. They have over a 50% chance to win the division. And Baker Mayfield and this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense is finally starting to see some consistency. But more importantly, Baker Mayfield was actually perfect this past weekend against the Green Bay Packers. He threw for 381 yards. He had 4 touchdowns, and he became the first ever visiting quarterback to finish with a perfect 158.3 passer rating at Lambeau Field. What you're seeing right now is what we have been preaching on this channel for a very long time. It's crazy that people don't think Baker Mayfield, the former first pick in the NFL draft, and he's not even 30, this isn't even like it's that long ago, he could lead a team deep into the playoffs. He's not single-handedly leading this team to the playoffs, but he's a huge reason for it. He's got this spark to him. He just has this swagger, this poise. We call him the misfit. Baker Mayfield, the misfit legend himself, all the time on this channel, because energy is contagious. I want whatever Baker Mayfield's having. I just want whatever he is having. This team is finally starting to get comfortable with each other. We're starting to see the consistency. Watch out for these next 3 games. It's funny because, Tampa Bay, like less than a month ago, was 4-7. It is not inconceivable that this quarterback and this team they're going to have a home playoff game if you win the division. It's not inconceivable. When we look at the NFC, man, Dakota Prescott not doing this. You watch that last game? Philadelphia Eagles, you've been watching Eagles football recently? Now, San Francisco is one hell of a team, but the NFC in general is terrible right now. It's just terrible. It's not just the NFC South. Teams are downhill. Tampa Bay is going uphill. Momentum is everything, and this is the perfect time to hit your stride as a football team. So we're going to talk about all this in just a second. But guys, before we do, if you enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Bucs fans, I do post at least one Bucs video on this channel every single week. So if we could try and get this video to 100 likes, it would mean the absolute world to me. So Baker's just coming off a great game, and Baker's one of those players. He's a character. And everybody has an opinion on Baker Mayfield. It's just so truthful. You either love him or you hate him. And when we could, sit back here and look at, he throws so many interceptions, he makes so many mistakes. He's not really doing that this season. Baker Mayfield's done a really good job this year. Tampa Bay was written off before the season even began. The second Tom Brady retired, this team was literally written off. He's throwing for about 236 yards per game, nothing too crazy. Completion percentage of 63.5. But he's got 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and he just finds ways to win. And once again, this isn't college football. It doesn't matter how these last 3 games play out. If Tampa wins out or they lose to Jacksonville tomorrow, Trevor Lawrence hasn't practiced all week, by the way. I don't think he's going to play. They're banged up. And, Jacksonville's actually also kind of trending more towards downhill than uphill. They're hitting their stride at the perfect time. And they're starting to learn, and Dave Canales, I think, really did a phenomenal job this past weekend against the Green Bay. I think he called a phenomenal game. They're getting comfortable in this new system. Chemistry takes a long time, man. With anybody in sports, relationships, it literally does not matter. Developing chemistry takes a long-ass time. And we're starting to see it with the offensive line. We're starting to see it with Baker Mayfield. We're especially starting to see it with Rashad White right now. These guys are getting comfortable. And we're learning, or Dave Canales, I should say, is learning players' certain strengths and weaknesses in certain situational moments, hence the 3-game winning streak. Like, we could sit here and go to Baker Mayfield's performance against Atlanta, where he did not have a good game. But in the last drive, the game-winning drive, they just found a way to get the job done. They just simply got the job done here. So I want to hit my stride at the end of the season. And that's exactly what this team is doing. And I want to pinpoint a player who gets like a weird amount of hate on this channel. I don't really understand the Rashad White hate. He's phenomenal. He is in his 2nd year. He's 3rd among NFL running backs in all-purpose yards. He has gone for over 100 yards from scrimmage in 4 straight games, and he's doing it running and catching. He's nearing 1,000 yards rushing on the season, and he's got back-to-back games with a touchdown catch of over 25 yards. Against Green Bay, 21 rushes, 89 yards, 4.2 yards per carry. And he had those 2 catches for 50 yards, including the 26-yard touchdown catch. Rachaad White's future is insanely bright. And if I have my offensive line look like, getting better and getting better as the weeks go on, right? Baker Mayfield certainly has a tendency to hold that football for a little bit too long, but he's a gunslinger. He's going to sling it. He's going to make mistakes, but he's also going to make plays. So you're telling me I have Baker Mayfield coming off a game where he threw for 381 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He was 22 of 28. You can give me any Packers defensive stat you want. I don't care. They are a solid defense. This isn't the 32nd ranked defense in the National Football League. So you're giving me Baker Mayfield, an improving offensive line, a stud in Rachaad White, who in the last month has really caught his stride. And then we're also going to pair those 2 players, or those 3 groups, up with Chris Godwin coming off a huge game, 10 catches, 155 yards, probably the most underappreciated, under-recognized wide receiver 2 in the National Football League. And we're going to pair those players, all of those players, we're going to pair them up with Mike Evans. Offensively, that's enough to win at least 1 playoff game. I mean, it's enough to get you into the playoffs. Guys, Tampa Bay was projected like 5 wins this season. They were projected 5 wins this season. We were talking here in the summer, who's going to win the quarterback battle? Is it going to be Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask? Don't give up on this team. No, people aren't giving up on this team right now, but people gave up on this team all season. And one big nitpick for Tampa Bay is, first off, their defense has been injured just revolving doors defensively. Antoine Winfield Jr., future Hall of Famer. He's 25 years old, folks. Levante David, I might just cop a Levante David jersey. I live in Southwest Florida. I'm a little far from Tampa. I don't see nearly as much Buccaneers gear as I should. I kind of want to grab a Levante David jersey, but this defense is, there's not necessarily an elite Super Bowl defense like they were a couple of years ago, but they're an above average defense. And one big nitpick for Tampa Bay is they're not beating good teams. I don't think technically they have beaten a single team over 500, but week 1 on the road against Minnesota, the team that won 13 football games last season, who had a Kirk Cousins who was healthy, they won on the road 2017 week 1. All right, they beat the New Orleans Saints in week 4 on the road against Derek Carr, and they actually completely embarrassed them. But when they take on, they've got lost to the Eagles and the Falcons, whatever. 6-point loss to the Bills, 2-point loss to the Texans, 2-possession loss to the 49ers, 1-possession loss to the Colts. Their losses aren't even that bad. So when they take down Jacksonville on Christmas Eve, and by that point, they'll have won 4 straight football games. I think that maybe is when people will catch an eye on them. At the end of the day, win or lose against Jacksonville, you have to win at home against New Orleans Saints. And that's probably my favorite thing about this schedule is your next 2 games are at home. Carolina, week 18, on the road. Bryce Young, struggling franchise just in general. But your next 2 games, Saints game, must win. They're both at home. All right, I'm excited for the Buccaneers' final run for the regular season and the playoffs. All right, so hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content, but most importantly, let me know your thoughts on this current Tampa Bay Buccaneers team.